So I want to give a brief talk, some of the same themes I touched on the previous podcast. But this little talk is going to be along the lines of attitude is everything, and how we frame a situation makes all the difference in the world to us. So I'll do something I don't usually do on this podcast, which is talk a little bit about my own personal situation. At the moment, I have been house sitting for a friend who was on a flexible schedule, and I was really pretty sure that they were going to be back in April because it just seemed like the logical thing for a lot of reasons. As it turns out, they are coming back tomorrow, New Year's Day. And while they said I have a few days or whatever to find something, and I've known about this for about a week now, it's still, to be honest, I've been losing my mind at points, which has been a really great scientific laboratory, because what I have deeply learned from that, is that the situation is the situation, but any fear or worry is a function of how my subconscious mind works. Because when I look back in my past history, which was a history of a lot of moving around, it always worked out really well. And so do I frame this as, oh God, what am I going to do? Which was how I was framing it for a while. Or the universe thinks there's a better place for me to be, to learn some spiritual lessons, and perhaps to share some of my gifts with whatever housemates I might have. Because that's how it's really worked out in the past. I'm not just saying that as pie in the sky. Every time I've moved in the past. And so, for example, I was living somewhere for 4 years, from 2016 to earlier this year. And for various reasons, which I won't go into at the moment, I needed to move, or I moved. I had to move. And I was pretty upset. As it turned out, I ended up in the most wonderful situations, one a temporary one for about a month, and now this one for the last 4 months, which has been wonderful, and I haven't paid any rent in that 4 months, which is also nice. And I've been able to help out a friend, which is also nice. And so I really see what my subconscious default reaction is to things. I've really seen how, and I'm expanding this to everyone in the world. Certainly we have technical problems, and I'm not judging anybody, who are in situations for being upset. And in my own situation, I have the luxury of having a few dollars in the bank, so I'll be okay. But I know there are plenty of other people who don't have that luxury, and I'm not in any way talking down to them or you if you're one of them. But what I am saying is that I've really seen how much our mind affects our lives, and how much, even if I wasn't going to, adopt that sort of new age attitude of, oh, my life is unfolding in divine right order and blah, 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 blah. Even if I was just going to say, okay, there's a technical problem, I certainly need a technical solution. But the fear is extra. And that's how my mind works. And so I'm looking at it of, yes, I have a technical issue to solve, and I have a couple places I'm going to be looking at in the next few days, so one hopes one of them works out. But the deeper problem is it's not just solving the immediate issue, it's solving the subconscious programming that puts us into fear whenever something like this occurs. And I am saying to everyone out there right now, your subconscious programming, and I'm using the word programming deliberately because I'm really seeing how I had a default reaction our subconscious programming runs our lives, and is the difference between being at peace and being able to solve an issue or losing our minds with stress. And of course, that stress causes a lot of heart attacks, strokes, all kinds of things. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but it's a big thing. So learning to run our minds, and I've been, I can't say a practicing Buddhist, but I've probably my main practice. And a lot of Buddhism, people think it's a religion where you worship the Buddha. No. Buddhism is about learning how to run your own psychology and your own mind. And in the Dhammapada, the very first verses, which I can't remember offhand, just go find the Dhammapada and read the very first 2 verses. And so that's why I'm putting up this podcast, not to complain about my own situation or people say, oh, I hope it all works out for you or anything like that, because it will. As time has gone on, I really do have a deep belief that my life is unfolding in divine right order. And if I'm having to move, it's because there's someplace else that's better for my spiritual growth. And perhaps my gifts may be of use to, the others, to other people. Even as simply as maybe my rent payment may be useful to somebody who needs it. So it's a long, rambling podcast. I will not apologize. I will just say that I'm doing stream of consciousness of something that I would probably ordinarily have written in my journal, I should say. But perhaps it may be of some use to those of you losing your minds with worry, because certainly there's so much to be afraid of right now, or so much that we could be afraid of between COVID and where are we going to live and how are we going to make money and everything like that. Yeah, there's a lot out there. And so my point here is that's not about the actual technical issue of what's happening. That's about how we react to it. And in that, my own experience is that we do have some choice, and we do have the ability to go into our programming and make changes. I'll mention a few things like self-hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming. I know there are a whole bunch of other things out there. So I just want to wish blessings, and also I'll mention Marilyn Jenett, Jenett. Her work has been tremendously useful to me. I think her book, Feel Free to Prosper, 2 Weeks to Unexpected Prosperity, which is framed in the form of making money, but the truth is it's about everything. I found her book to be probably the best personal growth book I've ever read, followed closely by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. So, blessings on all. I hope your own personal situations that you're able to find some little bits of peace in them. And of course, we go back and forth between fear and feeling calm. If any of us were gurus, I wouldn't be posting this and you wouldn't be listening to it. So we do the best we can as human beings. So blessings on all. I hope it wasn't too rambling. May all be well.